So the next question is, Scott, my clients are not staying in trance and are also not going deep enough. What are your thoughts? Do you have any suggestions? So clients not staying in trance. Yeah, it's a good question. So it doesn't matter. Like, I think everyone gets caught in that. I did too. Like, I'll include myself. Anytime I say everybody, I used to be like this too. So I'm just as guilty as everybody else. Everybody's looking for trance. And what has everyone concluded that trance is? Like eye closure, like drooling, like cataleptic, can't move. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, more fortunately, this is just one version of trance. So first off, just what I can pick up from your question is, if your client's not staying in trance, the mistake I think you're making is you're trying to look for a trance, a very atypical trance. And unfortunately, trance is anything but atypical. So trances vary from clients to clients. I tell my students all the time, there is no trance that's identical. Every time you're trying to say to your clients, hey, close your eyes and relax, which is more the traditional type trance thing, you're now telling people what to do. And you're telling people how to go into trance based on the way that you know it. And people don't work like that. So when you're too busy trying to look for the trance that you're looking for, hopefully that makes sense, you're going to miss out on the trances that are actually there. So when I used to work with lawyers with stop smoking clients, I've talked about this before, like, the lawyers I work with are very conscious. They're very, very smart and intelligent people. And I would have been the laughing stock if I turned around and said, okay, close your eyes, relax, lift their arm up and did like a depth test and all that sort of stuff I never did. They would have laughed at me. So I had to figure out a way of how do I overcome that resistance, because they definitely weren't following the traditional ways to do things. But that's because I was trying to go for a trance. I was trying to go for the eye closure, relaxation. And again, just as a side note, relaxation and trance have nothing to do with each other. A client does not have to be relaxed to go into trance, just like a client doesn't have to go into trance and be relaxed. They're separate things. Again, these are the conclusions that we sort of fall into, which lock us into a very fragile way, a very stagnant way to do trance. And when it doesn't work, you're sort of lost. But when you're too busy looking for a trance, you miss out on the trances that actually happen. The way that I view trance is when a client can retrieve information about their problem or whatever we're talking about in the context of therapy, of course, that they didn't have access to before. And if you go through my YouTube channel, we just did this recently. I broke down a whole bunch of different types of conversation hypnosis trances. I definitely recommend checking those out. And this was done through my advanced conversational hypnotherapy program training. And in 4 days, we did over different weekends, we had maybe like 14 different demos. That's all we did, was just demos over the complete 2 days. And no trance was identical. I think we only had 1 or 2 trances where the eyes actually closed. Because again, when you're trying to look for a trance, you miss out on the trances that are actually there. Secondary to this, a good point is, why are you looking for trance? What's more important? A client goes into trance or a client gets therapeutically changed? But again, the conclusion people think is, my client has to go into trance to access the unconscious or subconscious, superconscious, all the same stuff anyway, in order for them to have a revelation. And that is also incorrect. Just because your client's eyes are not closed and they're not cataleptic or relaxing doesn't mean they're in a trance. By actually asking your client about their problem, they actually have to go into trance to retrieve that information. So there are numerous ways for clients to go into trance. My recommendation, and based on your problem, I'll just remind myself, sort of get off track with this stuff, not staying in trance, is because you're trying to force the way that you want them to go into trance onto them. You're looking for one style of trance, and unfortunately that doesn't work. In one client, they will close their eyes. The second client, they won't close their eyes. The third client will just be totally stunned and be cataleptic. The fourth client will not even seem like they're in trance, but they have a massive breakthrough. So don't get locked into it being one way. If you're stuck in the old school traditional stuff of closing the eyes, relaxation, walk down a beach, walk down the stairs like 10, getting more relaxed, 9, all that sort of stuff, that's just one way. And it's not even a very good way, one way to do things. There are probably dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of different ways clients go into trance. Look for that. But like I said, secondary, don't concentrate on the trance, concentrate on the breakthrough. I don't care if my clients, quote unquote, didn't go into trance. As long as they had a breakthrough, that's all they're paying me for. So that's how I was create a demarcation between those things. Concentrate on the breakthroughs, not the trance. not the suggestibility test, not the deepness of trance, because that stuff doesn't matter either, and start concentrating on giving your clients a breakthrough and sort of forget about everything else, because it sounds like you're locked into one way to do things, and that gets very dangerous, because when it doesn't work, like you've just found out, you're in between a rock and a hard place. Be more flexible and notice the trances that happen instead of the trance you're looking for. So hopefully that helps.